look.
Nature doesn't play fair. It hides its biggest secrets in plain sight. From deserts that whisper ancient myths to caves that vanish by morning, the Earth is a puzzle with pieces scattered across time. Some of these places feel like messages from another world. And just when you think it can't get wilder, wait until you hear how Yellowstone's creation erased an entire culture. That part? Yeah, it's going to shock you. If this kind of content excites you, make sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications as we dive into this type of content daily. Number 15. Fairy chimneys, Turkey. They look like rock towers wearing helmets, some standing over 100 feet tall, silent, still, and strangely human. The locals call them fairy chimneys. And no, that's not just a cute name. These formations in Cappadocia were once believed to be the hiding places of fairies or battlegrounds of giants. But the truth? It's volcanic. Millions of years ago, Mount Erciyes and Mount Hasan erupted, spilling out lava and ash across central Turkey. The ash cooled into soft tuff, and then came the basalt, harder, heavier. Wind and water began slicing away the soft rock, but the caps stayed, like guardians. But that's not even the wildest part. In 1963, a man fixing his basement wall accidentally busted through into a tunnel. He kept digging and digging. What he found was an ancient underground city, Derinkuyu, stretching 11 floors deep. Hidden chambers, ventilation shafts, places where entire communities hid from persecution. All of it beneath the fairy chimneys. So while tourists float by in hot air balloons snapping pictures, just know the land is hollow, and it remembers. But Turkey's not the only place where the earth hides forests upside down. Number 14. Kaindi Lake. Early one January morning in 1911, an earthquake ripped through the Tian Shan Mountains in Kazakhstan. A magnitude 8.0, massive landslides buried everything, including a forest. But instead of destruction, something otherworldly formed. A natural dam blocked a gorge, rainwater filled the valley, and Kaindi Lake was born. Beneath its glassy surface, a sunken spruce forest stood frozen in time. Literally, the water never gets warmer than 43 degrees Fahrenheit, even in summer. That cold preserved the trees perfectly. Underwater, needles still cling to branches like time just stopped. Scientists from Istanbul University and Kazakh Agro-Technical University analyzed the tree rings. Their conclusion? These trees died exactly when that earthquake hit, over a century ago. But ask the locals, and they'll tell you something different. Some say a village was swallowed. Others whisper that spirits still roam those ghostly trunks. Either way, when you stand at the edge of Kaindi Lake and see those skeleton trees rising from the depths, it feels less like a natural wonder and more like a message frozen in time. And now it's talking. But what happens when nature hides its secrets not in silence, but in soundless music? Number 13. Reed Flute Cave, China. Near the city of Guilin, China, tucked beneath a veil of reeds, lies a cave that hums with memory. The Reed Flute Cave, formed over 180 million years ago during the Paleozoic era. Its name comes from the reeds outside, used to make flutes that once echoed through valleys. But this isn't just some pretty cave with lights. Inside, over 70 ancient inscriptions line the walls, dating back to the Tang Dynasty. Travel notes, poetry, names. These weren't just travelers, they were storytellers. People hiding from war in the 1940s stumbled into the cave again, only to find voices from centuries earlier carved in stone. It wasn't rediscovered, it was remembered. And the cave? It responded. Stalactites and stalagmites shape rooms named after legends. Dragon Pagoda, Crystal Palace. Some say the Monkey King himself once battled demons here, using a spear carved from stone. And now, with modern lighting, the cave glows like something out of another realm. The walls don't just echo, they perform. But the secrets etched in ink and stone still whisper from the shadows, waiting for someone to ask the right question. And if that doesn't chill you, try going deeper, much deeper. Number 12. Cave of the Crystals, Mexico. April 2000. In the brutal heat of northern Mexico, two miners named Juan and Pedro Sanchez broke through a wall in the Nica mine and stepped into a science fiction dream. Giant crystals, some over 36 feet long and weighing more than 50 tons, rose from the cave floor like frozen lightning. The cave of the crystals had been discovered, but stepping inside, that's where things got real. With temperatures hitting 136 degrees Fahrenheit and humidity near 100%, the cave could kill a human in minutes. Scientists had to develop special cooling suits just to study it for half an hour at a time. Why so extreme? Because this cave was alive, sort of. Formed 500,000 years ago, magma beneath the earth kept mineral-rich water at the perfect temperature to grow selenite crystals at a glacial pace. Then, in 2017, Dr. Penelope Boston and her team discovered something even wilder: microbes trapped inside the crystals, alive, dormant for up to 50,000 years, life preserved in glass. And local legends? They've always called this cave sacred, guarded by spirits, cursed by disappearances. So now we ask, was it hiding life from the past or preparing it for the future? But not all towers are born of fire or ice. Some rise like warnings etched into the skin of the earth. And if you've made it this far without smashing that subscribe button, don't worry, it's not too late. Number 11, Devil's Tower. In the northeastern corner of Wyoming, a stone column juts into the sky, Devil's Tower. It stands 867 feet tall, and its sides are scarred with vertical grooves that stretch like claw marks toward the heavens. Native American tribes have a different name: Bear Lodge. The story goes that a group of children fled from a monstrous bear. The Great Spirit lifted the ground beneath them into the sky, and the bear's claws scratched the rock as it tried to climb. That story became legend, but the name? In 1875, Colonel Dodge's interpreter mistranslated Bear Lodge as Bad God's Tower. And just like that, Devil's Tower was born. Geologically, it's an igneous intrusion. Magma pushed into the earth 50 million years ago, then cooled underground. Over time, softer rock eroded, leaving behind these impossibly straight columns. Scientists say it's a cooling pattern. Locals say it's a message. Either way, it became America's very first national monument in 1906. And people still climb it, stare at it, worship it. But maybe, just maybe, it wasn't meant to be touched. But nowhere is that clearer than under the ice of Iceland. Number 10, Skaftafell Ice Cave, Iceland. Every winter, something magical happens deep inside Vatnajökull, the largest glacier in Europe. A place called Skaftafell becomes a gateway, not to a fixed cave, but to whatever the ice decides to create. These are the Skaftafell Ice Caves, formations so fragile they live and die by the season. In September, after summer melt and storm floods, explorers begin their search. They crawl beneath the glacier, hunting for blue corridors sculpted by time and meltwater. When found, they shine like frozen cathedrals, walls so dense they turn light into electric sapphire, and they never last. One explorer, a man named Francesco, followed his dog Bilbo into the ice. What Bilbo found was a stunning blue chamber that collapsed days later. Gone. That's the rule here. Blink and it's over. Even the legends are laced with sorrow. Locals speak of a troll woman who lived above the woods and guarded her friend Bjarne's sheep. Not evil, not monstrous, just unseen, like the caves she might have watched over. But there's science here too. Each layer of this glacier holds history, old air, silent clues about our warming world. So when you walk into a Skaftafell ice cave, know this: you're stepping into something the Earth won't repeat, and it's already slipping away. But some landscapes don't vanish with time. They get stranger. Number 9, the White Desert, Egypt. Out in the Egyptian desert, not far from the town of Farafra, the sand stops looking like sand. Welcome to the White Desert, 300 square kilometers of bright, blinding chalk rock, carved into shapes you wouldn't believe unless you were standing there. Mushrooms, camels, towers, all sculpted by the wind like the earth was showing off. This place didn't always look like this. 70 million years ago, it was underwater. The Tethys Sea covered the land, layering chalk and limestone from long-dead marine creatures. When the sea retreated, the desert winds took over. What's left behind feels like a place frozen mid-thought. British explorer Thomas Anderson called it a white wonderland in 1819, but the Bedouin knew it long before maps. To them, it was a land of spirits and secrets. One legend says Pharaoh Akhenaten was cursed by priests to roam this desert forever, his ghost blending into the chalk. Another myth speaks of Crystal Mountain, where a meteor strike melted stone into crystals, still scattered across the sand. The government made it a national park in 2002, but no designation can explain the feeling when you walk through it. It's like Earth got bored with being predictable and decided to get weird. But weird doesn't always mean lifeless. Sometimes it means boiling with secrets. Number 8, Yellowstone National Park. Yellowstone, you've heard the name. Geysers, bison, Old Faithful. But before it became the world's first national park, it was a story no one believed. Indigenous tribes like the Kiowa, Crow, and Shoshone lived here for thousands of years, calling it Land of the Burning Ground. They didn't fear it, they respected it. Then came John Coulter in the winter of 1807, a lone explorer from the Lewis and Clark expedition. He described boiling rivers, steaming holes, and exploding water. People laughed, called it Coulter's Hell, until more explorers followed. The Cook-Folsom-Peterson expedition in 1869. Then the Washburn-Langford-Doane group in 1870. They mapped it, named geysers, and documented everything. And finally, in 1871, a full scientific team led by Ferdinand Hayden brought photos, art, and data to Congress. On March 1, 1872, President Ulysses S. Grant signed the act that made Yellowstone a national park. But here's what didn't make it into the papers. The land was never empty. Indigenous families were pushed out, their spiritual grounds repackaged as tourist attractions. So while Yellowstone became a global symbol for conservation, it also became a place of erasure. It's beautiful, it's sacred, and it's complicated. Now let's head to Namibia, where death doesn't mean silence, it means preservation. Number 7, Sossusvlei and Deadvlei. In the Namib Desert, Sossusvlei and Deadvlei tell a story that's hard to forget. A red desert so old it remembers wind before there were maps. Sossusvlei means dead-end marsh, a name from Afrikaans and Nama languages. This is where the Sawshab River gives up, where water stops. When it rarely flows, it pools in a pan, but most of the time, it's just salt and clay. Surrounding it, some of the tallest dunes on the planet. Big Daddy, one of the giants, towers over 1,000 feet, and nestled nearby is Deadvlei, a cracked white basin where ancient trees stand like statues. 600 years ago, this place had water. Camel thorn trees flourished, but the climate shifted. Sand swallowed the river. The trees died, but didn't rot. The air was too dry. Now they just stand there. Not fossils, not petrified, just dead and timeless. Tourists snap photos, thinking they're in a painting. But this is Earth's artwork, and people have only known about it for a blink. It wasn't until the 20th century that roads reached the area. Myths swirl here too. Some say the trees whisper at night. Others say the desert remembers every step you take. And if that doesn't bend your sense of scale, this next place will flatten it completely. Number 6, Salar de Uyuni, Bolivia. Out in Bolivia, high in the Andes, sits something so strange it looks unreal. Salar de Uyuni, the world's largest salt flat, over 4,000 square miles of blinding white crust. Perfectly flat, so flat that satellites use it to calibrate altimeters. But this didn't start as salt. Long ago, it was a prehistoric lake, Lake Minchin, followed by Lake Tauca. As they dried up, they left behind a crust rich in salt and lithium. Yes, the same lithium that powers your phone. But the science doesn't touch the mystery. Local Amara legends say a goddess named Tunupa cried tears of milk and sorrow after her lover left her. Those tears became the salt. Another version speaks of a love triangle that shattered the sky and left behind this blinding plain. During the rainy season, a thin layer of water turns the whole thing into a mirror. Sky above, sky below. It's dizzying. Tourists walk into it and lose their sense of direction. Photographers travel halfway across the world to capture it, but beneath that beauty is something powerful. Lithium, yes, but also time. Salar de Uyuni isn't just a salt flat, it's a reflection of the past and a forecast of the future. Number 5, Mount Erebus Ice Towers, Antarctica's frozen chimneys. Mount Erebus isn't just another icy volcano. It's the southernmost active one on the planet. Discovered on January 27, 1841, by British explorer Sir James Clark Ross, this mountain was named after one of his ships, the HMS Erebus. The other peak nearby? Mount Terror. Fitting. But what makes Erebus truly wild isn't just the lava lake at its summit, it's the ice towers. Giant frozen chimneys, rising up to 33 feet high, built from volcanic steam that freezes the moment it hits Antarctic air. And it doesn't stop there. Beneath those towers, warm ice caves. Some are a cozy 77 degrees Fahrenheit inside, while the outside air tries to kill you. These caves aren't empty either. In 1962, researchers collected soil samples and found microbial life. In those caves, in total darkness, bacteria and fungi survive off chemicals instead of sunlight. These life forms became models for scientists studying what might survive on Mars. Local myths? Not many people live down here to tell them. But if the Earth ever had a back door, Erebus might be it. And speaking of ice, there's a place in Austria where giants sleep under the mountain. Number 4, Eisriesenwelt Ice Cave, Austria. High above the village of Werfen, tucked in the Alps, is a place with a name that sounds like legend. Eisriesenwelt. Translation? World of the Ice Giants. The cave stretches for over 26 miles through the Hochkogel Mountain, making it the largest ice cave on Earth. But for centuries, locals wouldn't go near it. They believed it was the mouth of hell. Cold winds blew out from the darkness, and eerie sounds echoed from within. It wasn't until 1879 that a Salzburg naturalist, Anton von Posselt-Czorich, dared to enter. He made it 600 feet, published his findings, and was promptly ignored. The real breakthrough came in 1912, when Alexander von Merck led an expedition that went deeper. He died 2 years later in World War I, but his ashes were buried inside the cave he helped reveal. Over the next few decades, explorers like Friedrich and Robert Udall mapped even more of the icy labyrinth. The way the cave works is genius. In winter, freezing air rushes in and traps water, forming ice structures. In summer, the warmer air doesn't reach far enough to melt it. The result? Frozen waterfalls, shimmering columns, entire halls named after Norse gods. But you'll only see the first mile. 200,000 visitors come each year, and the rest of the cave stays untouched, just as the giants would want. But if you think you've seen strange, just wait until you stare into the eye of the Sahara. Number 3, Richat structure, Mauritania. Smack in the middle of the Mauritanian desert sits the Richat structure. From the ground, it's just rock, but from space, it looks like a giant eye, a perfect bullseye of layered rock 30 miles wide. It first popped up in maps in the early 1900s, but no one really knew what it was until French geologist Théodore Monod studied it in the 1930s. At first, people thought it was a crater, maybe a meteor hit, but no signs of impact. Turns out it's a deeply eroded geologic dome, a stack of rocks lifted by ancient forces beneath the earth. Over millions of years, wind and water wore it down, leaving only the bones of its spiral. Geologists like Robert Dietz and Robert Fudali confirmed it in the 1960s. But the theories didn't stop there. Some said it might be the lost city of Atlantis. The concentric circles fit the ancient descriptions. But archaeologists haven't found a single stone structure, so the mystery remains. What they have found, though, are stone tools, Acheulean hand axes, proof that early humans walked this place, shaped it, maybe even feared it. Now the eye watches satellites pass overhead, and the desert just shrugs. But in China, stone doesn't just watch, it stands. Number 2, stone forest, China. In Yunnan province, there's a place where rocks don't sit on the ground, they rise. Sharp, tall, and twisted. The locals call it the stone forest, Shilin. Over 500 square kilometers of jagged limestone pillars, stretching into the sky like petrified trees. This didn't happen overnight. 270 million years ago, this was a sea. Layers of limestone built up from marine creatures. Then tectonic plates shoved the land skyward and rain took over. Water carved out everything you now see, peaks, caves, even underground rivers. But this place isn't just geological, it's legendary. The Yi people have lived here for centuries and tell the story of Ashima, a young woman turned to stone after forbidden love. They say she still stands in the forest watching. Every year during the Torch Festival, her story is sung and danced beneath those towering spires. In 2007, parts of the forest were recognized as UNESCO World Heritage Sites, but no listing can explain how it feels to stand among those stone giants and feel like you're being watched in return. And now we climb one final mystery. A place so high, so old, and so cut off, it feels like the world's rooftop. Number 1. Mount Roraima or Roraima Tepui, Mount Roraima. Sitting at the point where Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana meet, this flat-topped mountain rises over 9,000 feet into the sky. But it's not a mountain in the usual sense. It's a tepui, a tabletop rock older than nearly anything else on Earth, formed almost 2 billion years ago. The first European to write about it was Sir Walter Raleigh in 1596. He called it a crystal mountain, but locals, specifically the Paman people, already had stories. They believed the mountain was once a giant tree that held all the fruits and vegetables of the world. A trickster named Macunaíma chopped it down, causing a flood that shaped the land. In 1884, a British team led by Everard M. Thurn made the first recorded ascent. They climbed using a natural ramp on the southwestern side, the same path used today. But the real story is what's on top. The summit is 31 square kilometers of isolation. Plants and animals found nowhere else. Clouds wrap the top like a curtain. Waterfalls tumble off the edges. It inspired Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World. But up here, science meets myth. And every rock, every pool, every whisper of wind might be something no one's ever seen before, or something Earth never meant to share. So now that you've seen what the Earth's been hiding, what do you think? Were these natural wonders just chance, or something more intentional? Which one left you speechless? And which one do you think still holds secrets we haven't even scratched? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that flip the world upside down. Because trust me, this planet isn't done surprising us.